Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to a regular meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. Are there any additions to the agenda? There are
No,
none.
sir.
No additions. Thank you. Council, would you mind reading the items into the record for closed session?
Gladly, Chairman, members of the board. There are some notes to the agenda, though, that I'll just mention here. Item 6B, the County Administration Department General Services Division item. That item is being asked to be pulled, and it will return on the 16th. And 2A of your closed session, labor negotiator conference, there is no substantial update today, so I will not be reading that into the record. The other items for closed session are under Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D1. You have conference with your legal counsel on two existing litigation matters. It's Valley Groundwater Coalition versus County of Madera. That's a Madera County Superior Court case 087677. The other, under the same government code section, is Cardoza, Dalton, Gill, Lascoiti, Lafarge, and other plaintiffs listed on the agenda versus the Madera County Groundwater Sustainability Agency, and that's a Madera Superior Court case MCV 086218. You have an anticipated litigation matter under Government Code 54956.9, conference with your legal counsel. There's a significant threat and exposure pursuant to paragraph 2 of subdivision D. That's one case. And the last item is under Government Code 54957. You have an appointment, employment, public employee discussion, and the title of that position is Director of Human Resources. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. And are there any members of the public that have a comment on the closed session items? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move into closed session. meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. Council, are there any items that need to be reported out of closed session for any action?
Chair, there's no reportable action from this portion of your closed session.
Very good. Thank you. Let's move on to the time when we remember folks who have passed on, and we open and close the meeting in their memory. Are there any members that my individuals, my colleagues would like to remember at this time?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to open and close in memory of Vicky Fouts. She was a resident up in Yosemite Lakes Park. Didn't always agree with everything that Vicky had to say, but a very passionate individual and dedicated to her community. So she will certainly be missed.
Very good. Thank you. Now it's time for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Would everybody stand? We have Alan Shearer who will lead us in the invocation from St. Joachim's Catholic Church.
Let us pray. May the work of this board this day begin with your inspiration and continue with your help, Lord, so that all our prayers and works today may begin in you and by you be happily completed. We particularly call to mind today our firefighters and emergency first responders who will be challenged by the heat this week to answer the call, especially in the eastern part of the county and the foothills and mountains, of all of those most in need. May they be kept safe, and may all of us be kept safe in this extreme heat. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of to the republic.
Thank you. The next item is public comment, and the first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record. So first of all, I'd like to hand the the mic over to my colleague, Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the opportunity. Excuse me for a moment, Sheriff. I have an important public comment, and I'm going to try to get through this within the 3 minutes, but I may go a little over. I want to share that about 3.5 years ago, myself, along with our CAO, Jay Varney, and Rebecca Martinez, who was the county clerk recorder, we sat in this back room and we had interviews for the District 4 Chief of Staff. And to our pleasant surprise, we interviewed Carla Estupinian, who's sitting in the audience today. And it was a no-brainer for us that we wanted to bring Carla onto the team to work for District 4. Not only was she impressive and had a great resume and experience working for a council member in Long Beach, but she also interviewed us, which made me a little uncomfortable. But one of the deciding factors of why I wanted to bring Carla on board was just her nature and her, you can hear the care and compassion that she had for people. And although she wasn't from this area, she's very new to the area, she inundated her self-care. And as a matter of fact, on her first day of work, she was late. And I remember thinking and she didn't give me an excuse as to why she was late. She just texted me and said, I'm not going to be there on time. And I thought to myself, what is going on? But the reason that she was late, I came to find out, was because she was getting keys to an apartment in Fresno because she was moving to Madera. and the place didn't open until 8 a.m. And so I said afterwards, well, why, we could have figured out a different day. You can move in, but it was because her parents were moving her stuff here, and then she came to work for us. Also, I just kind of wanted to share that one of the things that I shared with Jay and Rebecca was, we had some great applicants, and I said, well, who do I want to ride in the car with? And because as a chief of staff, you spend a lot of time with your supervisor. And so I always had a good time in the car with Carla and the other staffers as we were going places. One of the memories that came to mind, I woke up around 3 o'clock this morning to think about what I wanted to say, was a time when we went to Aptos for a board retreat that I had for a different organization that I serve on, not through the county, and it was at no cost to the county, by the way. But we were in Aptos, and it was right after the pandemic, and so some of the motels were trying to recover, and so it was really cheap to stay there. And so I asked Carla, do you want to come work in Aptos for a couple of days, by the beach? And while I'm in my workshop, you have basically the place to yourself. And so she said, yeah. And so it was like a 2-bedroom, it looked like an apartment, right, Carla? Anyways, it was about in the middle of the night, and it was about 85 degrees in the room. And I got up and I was like, what in the world is going on? Well, Carla had set the thermostat to about 85 degrees because that's how she likes to sleep. And I said, okay, that's the last time Carla and I ever share a room together because that's not my style. And so, but I wanted to just kind of bring some of those things up because it's been such a pleasure working with Carla. Some of the things that she has been instrumental for our office, for our county. We opened a district office. We had a tacos and shots clinic. That's when we were doing the COVID vaccinations. We've brought more proclamations to this board and brought more people into this chambers, I think, than ever, because we've just tried to be an arm to those who don't necessarily come to county government. We've held workshops explaining the budget process and getting input from the community. We hosted the first Women's Network Luncheon, which was a great success, and it was all due to Carla. We've had jacket giveaways. We just purchased some pool vouchers so that the kids in the neighborhood can go swimming during this hot weather, and even getting the wordly translation services so that when folks come into this chambers, they have the ability to hear and read what is happening in their native language, not just Spanish, but several languages. And so I just wanted to say that with all the decisions that I've made as a supervisor on this board in the last 3.5 years, by far the best decision I ever made was to bring Carla onto our team. And she's shared with me that she will be leaving. Sorry. This is her last week. So it was a bit of a surprise to me. But it was a shock, but it was not a surprise because one of the things that I shared with Jay is, I'd be lucky if she stayed here for the 4 years. She is just set for so much more. And so she's going into an arena that she really enjoys. She's going to go back home. And I just want to thank her publicly for her service. We will be having a special going away for her on this Thursday in the fishbowl. We'll send out an invitation to anyone in the building who would like to come say their goodbyes. But I wish you nothing but the best, Carla, and thank you for your service to our county, to this district, and to me personally. I will be forever grateful, and I wish you nothing but the best.
And thank you for conserving energy. All right, very good. Sheriff.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. I echo Carla's been an amazing person to work with. We're going to miss her dearly. I want to take a brief moment during public comment to introduce you to a couple of our newest employees and highlight a couple of accomplishments here. But first, to give you a brief overview of our cadet program. Our cadet program started in 2018. It's provided opportunities for those in our Central Valley communities to attend the police academy who may otherwise not have the means to do so. It's very difficult to take 6 months off of work as well as pay for all those academy expenses. And so what this program's allowed us to do with the support from the board is to pick the most qualified candidate regardless of their financial situation. Now, not all cadets are in a strained financial situation. This just eliminates that one hurdle so that we ensure that we are picking the best candidates. It also allows us to build a stopgap in between our Explorer program and becoming a deputy sheriff. Once they graduate from Explorers, we put them as Cadet 1s. They go through college, get some much needed college background, and then move them into Cadet 2s when they go to the academy. We've watched many people grow up through the department, starting as those Explorers, going on to college, and then becoming crime scene investigators, dispatchers, as well as deputies. Many may not know, it takes about a year from the time of application until they're out on the street. So it's quite the process. It starts with a written test, which eliminates about half of the candidates, a physical agility test, followed by an initial interview, which eliminates another half of the remaining. Those successful go on to a qualification appraisal panel, which narrows and ranks them. And then we send those top candidates onto a background where they go through a extremely extensive background process as well as a polygraph. And if they manage to pass that, they go on to a psychological and a medical review. After they're completed with those, then they go on to enter the academy where they are trained and, as Gary calls it, motivated for 6 months. So we've had phenomenal results with our cadet program. We've graduated about 40 cadets to date. Most of them are college graduates. Many are from Madera County. We love sponsoring those from our local communities, and many with military service. Over the years, we've seen many graduate the top of their class and with various honors. I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Ramirez here, who's going to tell you just a little bit about these two cadets here.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board and public. My name is Manuel Ramirez. I'm a sergeant with the Madera County Sheriff's Office, and it's my pleasure to introduce our two newest Academy graduates. I'm going to go ahead and ask Eric to go ahead and step forward up to the center. I'm just going to give a little quick bio about Eric. Eric was born in Los Angeles, but raised in Baja California in Mexico. He graduated in 2008 from Central High School in Imperial County. After graduated, he enlisted in the National Army Guard, where he served as infantry for 6 years. And while serving in the military, he received his associate's degree and attended Imperial Valley College with a bachelor's degree in criminology from California State University. In 2015, he was hired as a correction officer for the Fresno County Sheriff's Department, where he was part of the Honor Guard, the transport unit, and a jail training officer. Then Deputy Valenza graduated from this year, just a couple weeks ago, from the Fresno Police Academy, and also where he received a second place award for top academics. He was also chosen as a class sergeant for the second round of leadership. So I'd like to give Eric a hand and congratulate him and welcome aboard. Then I'll ask Eric to step back over here, and then Deputy Wendy Carrion. Deputy Carrion graduated from Clovis East High School, attended Fresno State, and majored in criminology. Another thing that I want to add also from our office, we have interns from Fresno State that come and do an internship. Wendy was part of the internship program. She came out and did about 120 hours with the coroner's office, and that's her choice to go to the coroner's office. So Wendy is one of our interns and graduate. We're proud to say that from there she went on to the police academy. Wendy graduated from Fresno State with the criminology and law enforcement. And one of the things during the academy, there was a graduation that took place. One of our former deputies, Karen Gomez, received the top female award for the physical. Wendy was present that day, and it inspired her to bring that home to Madera County again. So therefore, she made a determination prior to the academy. She attended many physical trainings that were done by Clovis Police Department, and something she did on her own. And with that, I would like to go ahead and ask for our Academy Director, Gary Fief, and Academy Coordinator, Tim Hahn, to come up.
Good morning, board members. Thanks for allowing us to be here for a few minutes. Sheriff Poe, when he asked me to come up here and do what I wanted to do today, he said I had 40 minutes. So now you're cutting it down to 3. So I don't know if we're going to have to speed this up. But I really want to first start off by apologizing to the board members, the sheriff's department, the Sheriff Hogan and his staff, and obviously to Deputy Carrion, because we made a mistake at our last graduation. And so when we found out we made a mistake, we wanted to come here. We didn't want to mail it. We didn't want her to come in the office. We wanted to come here personally to give it to her. So part of our training in our 1,000 hours at the academy, 6 months going, is physical fitness. As Deputy Carrion, they keep saying cadet. It's hard not to call them cadets, but now they're deputy sheriffs, right? So Deputy Sheriff, she did a great job in our academy. We really focus on physical fitness because we want to do lifetime fitness. We do a lot of cardio, a lot of aerobic. So it's 2 to 3 days a week we do that. We spend a lot of time. We probably spend like 75% more on physical fitness than most academies in the state. So it's really a rigor to get through the academy with 1,000 hours, but physical fitness is even more so. But having the training that she had and the desire to do what she needed to do, she went to the Clovis pre-prep school, which helped her a lot. But she came in with a great attitude. They've been sending us great cadets, as we've seen today. We got one at #2 academic, and then she's turned out she was the #1 physical fitness. So with that, we're one of 42 academies in the state, and we're in the top 5 of getting graduates and completion of the academy. So we're proud of our program. So it's not an easy class to come through. So she did a lot of hard work, and we just wanted to properly recognize her for doing the final test, which consists of a 99-yard obstacle course. She has to drag a dummy, 165-pound dummy, 32 feet. She has to run 15 yards, jump over a solid wood fence, and run a 75-foot sprint. Then she has to do a 15-yard run, jump over the chain link fence, do another 75 feet, and they do a 500-yard run. And it totals in points. So you had to get a minimum of 384 points to complete the academy. Well, I like, most of our averages in the 450s for female cadets, but Cadet Carrion scored the high score of 535 points, which is an outstanding achievement. So we again, I wanted to apologize to her and all the people in this room here that I'm sorry we messed up on the graduation. I'm going to penalize him. No, just kidding. You have to blame someone, right? It goes downhill. But no, we made a mistake. And we wanted to correct it here in front of the board. And again, congratulations to Deputy Carrion, the Sheriff's Department, and the board, and the members and the community here in Madera County. You got 2 great cadets. You got a great sheriff behind me. You got a great sheriff who worked over there for many years. And one last thing, fitness was important to me. He keeps telling me I was this PT instructor back in the day. So we're at class 174. I graduated class 13, but I went on to a career with the Highway Patrol. And I'll leave with this. It was important for me to be in physical shape too. And I got the PT award at the CHP Academy. And my commander, you might know this guy, was John Anderson. So John Anderson gave me the award. So it's kind of a unique turnaround here. But again, congratulations to Deputy Carrion, and thank you for letting us spend a couple minutes with you.
Very good, and congratulations. And I also have certificates of recognition that we provide for deputies and promotions and things of that sort at the for the sheriff ceremonies and for Deputy Carrion and Deputy Valencia. So I'll present those at this time. Very good. We're still in public comment. Are there any other public comments?
Mr. Chairman, before they actually leave, I would like to just say that you guys have made an excellent choice to come into Madera County. I wanted to say thank you to you deputies. for choosing Madera County. You know, here we really value our law enforcement here. You have one of the most supportive boards in the state when it comes to supporting our deputies. And although we're not a big county, we're not a rich county, we absolutely do everything that we can to support you guys in your mission. So just don't ever forget, you know, every day that you go out that you're serving the people, and do that with integrity every single day. Because as long as you're doing your job with integrity, you have everyone here that is going to support you and have your back. So thank you guys.
Very good. Come on up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elvira Lopez. I have a couple of notes that that I wrote down because I don't want to forget it. I'm a little nervous. I've never done this. Hello, everyone. My name is Elvira Lopez. My phone number is 559-232-9112. I would like that to be on record. I'm here to talk about my forever home located on 28140 Posey Avenue, Parksdale District Number 4, between Road 28 and 13.5. There is a water basin located next door to my property that has caught on fire because of lack of taking care of it and cleaning up the weeds that are usually 5 to 7 feet tall. It's a problem that's been going on since the day I moved into the house 20 years ago. Twice, where that basement has caught on fire twice. 2020, it devastated our property. The backdoor neighbor, which is this lady right behind me, her house were burned to the ground. My house sustained structural damage to the area next to the water basin. It took a lot of my son's bedroom. Their windows exploded because of that fire next door to the water basin. Taking my 10-day-old base built-in fence, a 12 by 12 shed containing my husband's landscaping tools and my son's quad. The fire gave me PTSD. To this day, it took my fence, my shed, my trees, my grass, my landscaping, all. Again, last week, July 2nd, 2024, another fire broke out. For the last 22 years, I've been living in my house. I have to call the county to come and clear up and clean the 5 to 7 feet tall weeds. Question to all you, who monitors the county when it comes down to their weed abatement overgrown properties? I am here to ask the county to be responsible for their water basin upkeep and add a center block fence to between my property and the water basin. The fire chief, who has been now to both of the fires, the 2020, there's footage on channel 24 if you guys need to address that. The fire chief, who has been now to the 2020 and last week's fire, suggested that we take down our fence because it only adds to the fuel. Madera County, please take responsibility for the property and build a tall center block fence that would give us enough time to exit our houses if we needed to. And monitor and maintain a calendar where they could clean up that water basin. Council member, Ms. Gonzalez, let's sit down to talk about the solution to a problem that I've been facing by myself for 22 years. I've came to this building several times and nobody go back and forth telling me that I have to talk to the road, to the county, weed abatement, fire, and they just put their hands up and say, it's not my department, it's not my department. Let's find time to sit down so you can hear the backstory to this. This property was actually, you guys don't even have the deed to this property, but it's part of Madera County. Let's look into this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Tiffany, and I'm here to address urgent safety concerns for the families in our community of District 4. My husband and I purchased his childhood home on Avenue 13.5 and Road 28. This home, built in 1994, was destroyed by illegal fireworks on July 3rd, 2020. After 2 years of rebuilding and stressing, we moved back only to face another fire exactly 1 week ago today. This fire was deliberately set by fireworks again in the field directly in front of our home. This home is significant to us. It is now my 7-year-old childhood's home and my 70-year-old father's forever home, who just retired and were both present during last week's fire, now left traumatized. The repeated fire threats have caused immense stress and anxiety. The basin has been neglected, resulting in 2 fires on the same date, 4 years apart. These fires were acts of arson as they purposely went to the field to do the fireworks. We are still left with no answers from both fires on who did it. If the field and basin were private properties, they would have been fined and held responsible for keeping them clear and well maintained. However, the field has been neglected by the city and the basin by the county. We urge you to please uphold the same standards you expect from us as citizens and clear these areas. Implement protective measures to prevent future incidents as we are traumatized and constantly living in fear. As law-abiding citizens and taxpayers, we urgently need the following actions from the county and city. Replace our wooden fence with a cinder block wall and add gravel in the basin surrounding the 3 homes most at risk to prevent fire spread. When we asked Fire Chief Nick, who was present at both fires, for advice on preventing fire spread, he advised us to remove the wooden fence as it would be the fastest way for fire to reach our homes. The cinder block wall and gravel would buy us time to evacuate and allow fire officials to arrive and save our homes and lives. Clear overgrown vegetation, install surveillance cameras in the field and basin to deter criminal activity, convert the nearby intersection into a 4-way stop to reduce accidents, which we witness hundreds of times, and increase vigilance. Conduct a controlled fire before the summer when temperatures reach triple digits and during fireworks seasons to mitigate fire risk. We do not think these measures are too much to ask for, considering everything we have been through, losing our home once already and having to seek counseling and therapy to help us cope mentally and emotionally. We are desperate for action to be taken. Our neighborhood will have no choice left but to pursue legal advice and go to the news to inform our community about these issues. Our homes cannot be threatened again, and we cannot risk losing our lives due to inaction. If this happens a 3rd time, we want everyone to know that we talked to the board about acting to at least try to prevent and protect us from another fire. The recent fire has had a lasting impact on us. Despite advice from Chief Nick, who was there for both fires, more needs to be done. Our community deserves safety and proactive measures from our officials. We are real people with real concerns. Immediate action is necessary. Please respond to our urgent needs and do not let our cries for help fall on deaf ears as they have been already for years. The safety and well-being of my family and our community depend on it. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Chair, I just have a quick comment.
Uh-huh.
Supervisor, I'd be happy to sit down with your residents as someone that's been affected by fire. I certainly appreciate your comments. But specifically in regards to illegal fireworks, I know this past 4th of July, I think we had some issues over in Riverstone. And it was brought to my attention that the fine for illegal fireworks is substantially lower here in Madera County than it is in neighboring counties or counties throughout the valley. So I think it would be a great thing for this board to, at least look into, some of their concerns, but in addition, think about possibly raising that fine for illegal fireworks as a deterrent. So I just wanted to put that on the record, and thank you guys for your comments. Appreciate it.
Chair.
Yes.
So generally speaking, with fireworks enforcement, the more advanced fine doesn't lead to more enforcement. This is a fairly unique situation, meaning if you were to catch these people, you could specifically charge them. You'd see them in the basin. You could take enforcement action. But in terms of the greater area, the issue is if I'm lighting off fireworks in my backyard and they land in that basin, you don't know that I launched those. So I would suggest maybe directing the sheriff and county council to look at doing something that I think the sheriff has looked into previously, which would be to develop some enforceable ordinance that allows us to fine the homeowners and then raising the fines all around. And then that way you'd be able to handle problems like this and handle the general craziness of what July 4th has become.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Very good. Is there any other public comment? Anybody online? Okay, nobody online. Very good. We will now move on. We're going to go back to consent calendar and go back to discussion items, but it is 10:30 and it's the time that we set aside for public hearings. And we do have an item 7A.
Hearing to adopt an ordinance of Madera County amending sections 6.04.290 and 6.04.320 of chapter 6.04, section 18.04.290 of chapter 18.04 and section 18.94.030 of chapter 18.94, and adding section 18.04.288 of the Madera County Code relating to animal kennels.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jamie Bax with Community and Economic Development, and I have with me Amy Toller, Director of Animal Services. Before you again, as the clerk had read into the record, is a proposed amendment to those two sections of the ordinance, Title 6 and Title 18. Basically applies to any animals 5 and above. Dogs, cats, not combined, individual type animals would require a kennel license. We did have a planning commission hearing on this item in May 7th, where they recommended approval of this proposed amendment. Held a first reading on this particular item on June 18th with your board. So we are here for any questions that you might have or any public comments that might be received. Thank you.
Very good. Are there any comments, questions from my colleagues regarding this item? This is a public hearing, and I will open up the public hearing at this time for comments regarding this particular item. Are there any individuals online? Nope. Okay, very good. We will close the public hearing and bring the item back for action.
Move to adopt the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff?
Yes.
Supervisor Boythris?
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Very
you.
good. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work on the ordinance. So we will now move back to the consent calendar. Are there any items on the consent calendar that one of my colleagues would like to have pulled for further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, are there any members of the public who would like to comment on a consent calendar item? Anybody online? Okay,
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the consent.
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff?
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Boythris?
Yes,
Motion carried 5-0.
very good. Thank you. We now discussion items and item 6A. Yes.
Item 6A is a presentation of, okay, jump the gun.
Sorry, I was looking for it on my agenda. Presentation of awards for Madera County Library's Children's Story Writing Contest.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm Krista Riggs, Library Director, and I am so proud and happy today to share with you the winning stories of our first ever Story Walk Story Writing Contest. What is a story walk? You might ask. There we go. They can be found across the United States and actually in 13 countries. They encourage families to take a stroll and enjoy successive pages of a children's book along a path. And the purpose is to increase experiences with literacy in a fun and healthy setting outside. Our story walk was funded by a grant from the California State Library, and it's installed at the Courthouse Park behind the museum. So if you haven't seen it, go take a look. It's a lot of fun. In conjunction with our summer reading program that's going on right now, that Yvette coordinates, our children's librarian, we decided to host a story writing contest for kids ages 4 to 12. to take that early literacy experience a step further and encourage creativity in writing. We had a bunch of very talented entries. It was not easy to judge. I had the help of our local author, John Bowers, who I'm going to invite up to help me give out the certificates. If you don't know John's work, you should check it out. He writes very creative science fiction. He's a very accomplished local author. And let's see, John, I don't know if you understand. Hopefully those are in order. We have 4 winners today. Again, as I said, it was not easy at all. We had a tie for first place and a tie for second place. And each winner will receive a certificate and a gift card to Barnes & Noble thanks to a generous donation. I should mention also John is a member of our Friends of the Library too, and we're very grateful for his support. So the winners are, drum roll please. Yes, very good. In first place, one of our first place winners is Rose C. She's age 10. Rose, do you want to come on up? Come on up here. Rose wrote the story, The Day I Turned Into a Frog, and it's about a little girl that goes through a portal, just science fiction, just like John writes. And Rose, if you want to stay up there, we'll get a good picture at the end. If you want to stay up with John, thank you. It's a very creative story. The frog encounters an alligator and a jaguar and a lot of other things. And that's the story that right now is in our story walk. So if you go take a look, it's there already. She did a great job. Congratulations, Rose. And Rose mostly visits our main library in Madera. Our first place winner is Evelyn. You want to come on up, Evelyn? There she is. Evelyn is 7 years old, and she wrote the story, The Endangered Me, about a little one named Charlie, who is very worried and nervous about different experiences, especially going to school. And so Rose's story is in the story walk now, and then in the fall, just in time for back to school, we'll feature Evelyn's story in the story walk. Moving on, our next winner is Matthew, age 5. Come on up, Matthew. He wrote a great story called The Army Police. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Evelyn's story there. And here's Matthew's, The Army Police. He did a great job. It's a story about how Army police keep us safe by catching all of the bad guys. And it comes with the moral to always keep trying. Matthew did a great job with that. And he mostly visits our Ranchos library, as does Evelyn. And then our other winner from our Chowchilla library, she's ready there, is Esther, age 10. Come on up, Esther. And she wrote a great story called The Man and the Hungry Children. And it's a story about a kind man who comes across 2 hungry children who had lost their parents, and he feeds and adopts them, and they live happily ever after in a log cabin. And so congratulations to all of our winners, and thanks again to John for judging. And if you haven't yet, please check out our story walk over at Courthouse Park. So thank you all. I don't know if you would like to come and be in a picture as well.
You know what? That would be a high honor. So my colleagues and I will join these
Thank you.
great writers, not future writers, current writers. Thank you, parents and writers. Thank you for being here, and we appreciate you encouraging your children in their writing and reading. And it's many times we celebrate sports teams and championships and things of that sort, but rarely do we recognize academic achievements. And I think this is really a fantastic thing. And I think that we need to do that more often. So I just want to thank again the parents and families for your support and encouragement. Makes a difference. Thank you.
Very good.
Moving on to item 6B.
Chair, I'd like to announce that this item was requested to be pulled and it will return on July 16th.
Okay, very good. And you know what I failed to do on 6A? Public comment. Any members of the public want to comment on item 6A? Very good, thank you. Okay, so we know about 6B. So we will move on now to 8B.
Discussion and consideration to authorize a letter of support for 2024 Cycle 7 Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program, Bridging Rail Initiatives, Technology and Education Project, the BRIGHT project.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Jay Varney, County CAO. This is the first of a number of letters we have on the agenda today. This one in particular is related to the BRIGHT project, and our particular interest would be that as proposed in terms of in the Central Valley, there's a number of projects, but ours is particularly related to the Madera High-Speed Rail Station final design. That would be the multimodal station out in the area of Avenue 12, the BNSF tracks, and the Madera Community College.
Very good, thank you. That's very important. Are there any questions of Jay regarding this item? Are there any members of the public have any comments? Seeing and hearing none, we'll bring the item back for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff?
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes,
Motion carried 5-0.
thank you. Item 8C.
Discussion and consideration to authorize a letter of opposition to Assembly Bill 2716 as introduced by Assembly Member Bryan, eliminating the existing idle well fee program and the existing idle well management program, and would also require the plugging and decommissioning of actively producing wells.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, Jay Varney, CAO. Actually, the description in 8C strongly explains what's in this letter. It's an opposition to cutting off low producing wells, having to have them capped. And the thought that if anyone's lived, I guess more than 30 years, you've been through the boom or bust of the oil industry. I realize that we're going to alternative fuels, but to cap off this resource so that it would require additional work and cost to reactivate it versus the current process is not something that we feel is in the best interest of the state of California. And we've authored this letter of opposition to AB 2716.
Very good. Are there any questions regarding this item? Any comments? Any comments from the public? Seeing and hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Need a motion?
Yeah, I guess
I'll
we'll
move
need
to
a
approve
motion.
that motion.
Need some
Second.
coffee.
Now we can do a vote. There you go.
Supervisor Wamhoff?
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes,
Motion carried 5-0.
very good. A fast track. Okay, item 8D.
Discussion and consideration to ratify a letter of concern regarding Senate Bill 867 as introduced by Senator Allen, which would enact the Safe Drinking Water wildfire prevention, drought preparedness and Clean Air Bond Act of 2024 to the extent that the allocation of funds may not adequately include rural and agricultural areas of the state, such as the San Joaquin Valley.
Thank you. As mentioned, this particular bill, we support the thought behind it, and we're very concerned about how they've allocated the funds. And it seems that they've severely shortchanged areas such as our own San Joaquin Valley, and have sent most of the money to areas that are fairly well populated and fairly high on the revenue scale. So we feel like, as is quite typical, our area was shortchanged on the mitigations that should have been included in this. Thus, we sent a opposition bill on the second because the item was being heard prior to this meeting. So the letter has been sent, but we can answer any questions you might have.
Very good. Any questions regarding this item? Seeing and hearing none, anybody from the public? I'll bring the item back for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff,
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor Poythress.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. And item 8E.
Discussion and consideration to authorize a letter of opposition for Assembly Bill 3233 as introduced by Assembly Member Adis that would authorize a local entity by ordinance to limit or prohibit oil and gas operations having the potential to expose local governments to significant liability.
Thank you. This bill seems to be one that has a theme that's similar to many of the others, in that other codes, such as in this case, the Public Resource Code, or other case law, such as cases in front of the Supreme Court, have already decided this issue. However, the legislature goes ahead and tries to propose legislation that would circumvent both of those. Therefore, we are recommending a letter of opposition to Assembly Bill 3233 as it relates to oil and gas operations and the local authorities' ability to influence production there.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions? Any members of the public have any questions or concerns? I'll bring the item back for action.
Move to
to-
approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff,
Yes.
Supervisor Poythress.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to supervisor and staff reports. I'll start to my right. Supervisor Wamhoff.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Supervisor Gonzalez.
Just one announcement that we are having a workshop with the Pan Valley Institute. Is it Monday or Thursday? Next Monday at 5 p.m. at the library. And this is going to walk specifically the Indigenous community members through the permitting process for environmental health. There's been a lot of questions and a lot of the information that's requested on the application is a bit convoluted and confusing. And so, as a matter of fact, one of the things that Carla has been working on with me is to translate that material into Spanish. So we are having a big workshop for folks next Monday, 5 p.m. at the library.
Very good. Thank you. Supervisor McCauley.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just a couple things. I'll do my best to be quick about it. Yesterday, we had a great meeting in YLP to discuss fire suppression services in that community. So I do want to thank Chief McComb, Chief Trinidad, as well as Deputy Lewis for taking their time with the community, answering their questions, and hopefully setting them in a direction in which we can improve services out there. Next week, we will be having a couple meetings with PG&E up in the district, one on the 16th in YLP, one on the 17th in Oakhurst. Both will be at 4:30. On the 23rd of the following week, we will have the Insurance Commissioner's Office visiting Oakhurst to talk about their sustainable insurance strategy, which is a huge concern for many people. And then lastly, I feel really prudent to let the rest of the board know that on the 25th, we'll be having a ribbon cutting for our new, hotel and convention center up in Oakhurst, of which the board entered into a tax sharing agreement. So very happy to see them getting that project off the ground ambitiously. They're hoping to get it done by next June. I don't think they're going to get it done in time, but that agreement in which the board entered into is going to spur a lot of economic development for the area. So I do want to thank you all for your support with that effort.
Excellent. Great, great news. Supervisor Rogers.
Great, fantastic. I want to thank Matt Treber and I want to thank the road department's crews for tackling some school bus routes that have been devastated due to bridge closures. And they have successfully mitigated some of the issues for the schools. It's very important to keep our kids safe when they're on the road, and they certainly have focused on that, and I appreciate it so much. Wanted to mention it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Varney.
It was encouraging to see such high quality people being sworn in and accepted at the sheriff's office. Made me think about, there was two other cadets in this room. From my perspective, it was Sergeant Ramirez and Lieutenant Vidigan, both people who I've hired twice, both in Chowchilla and then both here.
Wow.
Sheriff's office. So just an example of how important it is to hire local folks in terms of longevity. Lieutenant Vidigan, I hired from being a reserve officer 20 years ago in Chowchilla, and Sergeant Ramirez 18 years ago in Chowchilla, and they're still here serving. So that's a good side for what we are able to pick up here in Madera.
Fantastic.
Chair, I just want to piggyback real quick there. I did have the opportunity to meet with Lieutenant Vidigan and Sheriff Pogue last week, along with my chief of staff, Melissa De Silva, talk with them about our Office of Emergency Services, of which the lieutenant oversees. It sounds like he's doing a bang up job there. So I just echo everything you said. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Just one comment based on my staff report last week on the Citizens Initiative. I mentioned to the board bringing back the item at this meeting or the last meeting in July. So just an update that there will be that item on the July 16th board agenda. And I'll be presenting the item and some clarification on MCTC's efforts along with the Citizens Initiative. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Clerk of the board.
Nothing to report.
Very good. Council, we do have one more item, closed session, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so that's going to start at 11:30. Guide me through the process because it's a little before 11 right now. Do I pause things right now or just say we're going into closed session, or how does that work?
Chair, I would recommend you take a break, and I think the CAO and I can coordinate to see if there's an ability to start sooner if you'd like, or if you would just like to take a break until 11:30.
I think 11:30 because we do have in a review
Sounds
at
good.
some point. So I would say that let's go ahead and stay on schedule. And so we will take a break until our closed session item.
Sounds good. That's
Okay,
lawful.
very good. Thank you. Absolutely. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good late morning. We have returned from a break, and now we will move into closed session, and we will return. Thank you.